Whether you're using a build based around strength and dexterity, or one that focuses on faith and intelligence, it's important that you know how scaling works in Elden Ring. This will enable you to have a weapon that will only get stronger as you increase your stats, and will work with the specific stats of your build to make it unstoppable. It is a bit easier said than done though, as when you look at the attribute scaling page, it's immediately pretty overwhelming. There are lots of numbers and letters for you to get your head around, but once you know what you're looking for, it's really not that complicated at all. So this video is going to be showing you how scaling works in Elden Ring, and how to make sure that your weapon is as perfectly suited to your build as possible. Okay, so basically what scaling does is it allows you to tailor your weapons to whatever build that you might be running in the game. So if we load up my equipment and go into my Bloodhound's Fang +4 for an example, you'll see that it's currently attribute scaling with a D in strength and a C in dexterity. So what exactly does that mean? Well, it means that when I upgrade my strength or upgrade my dexterity, it's going to upgrade the amount of damage that the weapon does based on the rank of that letter next to dexterity or strength. To briefly explain that, you can see next to physical under attack power that it has a base damage stat, which in this weapon's case is 222. So the plus next to it is 117, which is actually the amount of damage being added by the scaling of the weapon. So because my Bloodhound's Fang has a D in strength and a C in dexterity, every time I level up strength or dexterity, it will add to that plus 117 figure. Then the letter that goes next to it will decide how much it upgrades it by. The best rank it can have is S, and then it progressively gets worse all the way down to E. So to put it into context, if my weapon has an S in strength scaling, every time I upgrade my strength stat it will add, let's say, plus 20 to its power. But if it has an E next to it, it would only add plus 3 every time I leveled up strength. So this is something that you really want to take into account when you're choosing which weapon to use. So for me, my two kind of main stats are dexterity and strength. So this makes it a very good fit for my build because strength and dexterity are my two main attributes and this weapon excels in it. Obviously it's all well and good upgrading your power through scaling, but you can make a difference to that original stat as well. So obviously this is a pretty basic thing, but if you go to Smithing Master Hugh in the Round Table Hold, you can basically upgrade your weapon's base power with smithing stones. Now as you can see, this thing is +4 already, so now I need a Somber Smithing Stone 5 to get it up to +5. And then you can also see on the right that will occasionally affect the attribute scaling and also will affect the plus power that you get from the attribute scaling. So my base damage would go from 222 to 243, and then the plus damage would go from 117 to 135. Obviously for this specific weapon it's going to be strength and dexterity that scale, but for other weapons it might be intelligence and faith, or sometimes it's even only one, so it could just be dexterity or could just be arcane. So when you pick up a weapon that you think you might want to use, check the attribute scaling and see what the letters are looking like and whether it kind of fits the build that you've got. If you haven't been paying too much attention to a build that you're kind of working towards, then you can look at your stats on the right and see which ones would complement the weapon that you want to use. What's really cool in Elden Ring is the addition of Ashes of War that allows you to actually customize your weapon to fit your build. So to briefly run you through that, if you go to the Smithing Master Hugh in the Round Table Hold, same as if you were going to upgrade your weapon through smithing, you can go down to the Ashes of War tab and look through to see which weapons you could potentially add an Ashes of War to. If we go down to something like the Uchigatana, which is the starting weapon for my build, the Samurai, you get met with the same page that you were on in the equipment tab, but now you've got some new numbers to look at. So here I'm hovering over Bloodhound Step, which is personally my favourite Ash of War. As you can see, if you look at the attribute scaling, it's going from a D to B in dexterity and a D to E in strength. This one doesn't particularly change what the weapon is because it's still strength and dexterity, but as you can see, if I was specifically a dexterity build, it would help a lot. But if we move down, you can see that different Ashes of War actually provide different results. And as you can see under attack power, it's going up to +63 rather than +47. But you'll notice that the base damage actually is going down, which is another side effect of the Ashes of War sometimes. So make sure to check that and make sure that you're happy with everything before you commit to putting it on. When you go to add the Ashes of War, you'll be met with a page that asks you what affinity you want to grant to it. So if we scroll through these quickly, you'll see that they actually change the attribute scaling as well. For my personal build though, I'm going to go with the heavy affinity because it boosts my strength up to B. But not only does the Ashes of War add different stats and potentially make your weapon a lot better, it also gives your weapon a new skill. So to briefly explain the skills that you get from Ashes of War, let's just take Bloodhound Step for an example. You can hold LT and basically burst forwards, evading any sort of attacks. This is obviously really useful and unique to the Ashes of War Bloodhound Step. Although be wary, they do use mana and stamina, so you will run out eventually. You will still be able to do it, but you'll kind of look a bit goofy just jumping forwards without any sort of cool anime animation. So yeah, to wrap up quickly, that's basically attribute scaling in a nutshell. The main things you want to be looking at are the attribute scaling section and the attack power section. Make sure to take into account what stats you've leveled up before you choose which weapon to use. Or make sure that you have an Ashes of War that you can use on that weapon, which will make it usable with your build. Honestly, I think this is one of the coolest parts of Elden Ring. Being able to pick and choose which weapon you use and then also alter how it scales is really awesome for diversity, and allows your character to be as unique as you want them to be. So all in all, it might look complicated, but actually you'll want to get to know this so that you can maximise the full potential of each of your weapons. So that was our video showing you how scaling works in Elden Ring. If you have any questions regarding this, please do leave a comment and I will do my best to help you out. Also, I just want to say thank you to everyone who has recently subscribed. We've flown up to 2k subs in total now, which is absolutely absurd because we only hit 1k about a week or so ago. So again, thank you all so much for your continued support, and of course, if you're new here, please do consider subscribing to the channel. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.